For years, the murder of Tupac Shakur has been the stuff of conspiracy theories. There's been fans trading rumors that the legendary rapper was even somehow still alive. But today, jurors were confronted by the grim reality of that 1996 drive-by shooting as the graphic autopsy photos of his body were shown in court. There was no doubt about it that he died. Those grisly photos coming on the second day of testimony in the trial of Duane Keffe D. Davis, who prosecutors claim masterminded the plot to kill Tupac in retaliation for his nephew's alleged beating by the rapper's entourage. Now, on the stand, Clark County medical examiner Dr. Lisa Gavin explained how the 4 gunshots that struck Tupac allegedly led to his death, including one, Gavin says, that traveled through his chest and collapsed his lung. Now, Gavin, who wasn't the medical examiner at the time of the shooting, testified that Shakur's cause of death was gunshot wounds to the chest and abdomen, and that the manner of death was homicide. And jurors were silent as they studied these gruesome photos of Tupac's corpse, which still had chest tubes from the 6 days he spent in the hospital before dying. Those images, that testimony, so graphic that much of Tupac's family had to leave court. But Davis was reportedly stoic as he stared at the aftermath of his alleged handiwork, though he did occasionally, or apparently occasionally, whisper in his attorney's ear. Jurors also heard from the detective who investigated the aftermath of the shooting, who described cars running over cartridge casings, even as cops raced to protect them using traffic cones. Detective Dean O'Kelly added that those cartridge casings tested negative for fingerprints and that they would later be told to be on the lookout for a light-colored Cadillac with 4 black male occupants. Now, prosecutors allege that Davis was in that Cadillac, that he handed off a gun to the shooter who unloaded on the black BMW that Tupac was traveling in. And while Davis has denied those allegations, we know much of the prosecution's case appears to rest on his past alleged confessions, which the defense has done its best to paint as unreliable. So is dredging up decades-old forensics the best way to pin down this ever-shifting story? Joining me now is somebody who knows forensics and cold cases better than most anyone. Forensic analyst, distinguished scholar of applied forensics at Jacksonville State University, host of the Body Bags podcast, Joseph Scott Morgan. Good to see you, my friend. What is the purpose of having this graphic testimony, these graphic images? I know a prosecutor has to make their case. They have to prove that a killing happened. They have to prove, I guess, that this was an intentional murder, an assassination, if you will. But what's the purpose of going into this detail?
We're talking decades later, Jesse, decades later. And so you have to refresh the minds of those that are going to make these decisions about what happened that night. As a matter of fact, it goes to, I think, probably a lack of bias on the part of the jury. You know, they have to have we have recent cases that have supplanted this case over the years. Their minds have to be refreshed. And this is a horrible shooting, you know, when you think about it. You have, Shakur, who is in this one location. He's a sitting duck in this trapped inside of this vehicle, and this individual unloads on it, allegedly, and, you know, essentially ends his life 6 days later after he's gone through what they attempted to do relative to saving that lung or removal of that lung. Yeah. And they knew that it was just going to be impossible to do.
It's horrifying. And again, I think it really goes to the idea that this was intentional, right? They wanted Tupac dead, whoever did it. Here's the question. There's not a ton of forensics in this case, right? I mean, the fact that they don't have the murder weapon hasn't been found, but the detective said the cartridges had indicated a Glock, that two bullets were found in his body. And in his book, in his memoir, Davis allegedly said that he provided a Glock 40. So how problematic is this for the prosecution's case, or not?
Well, it's problematic in the sense that they don't have the source weapon, you know, to compare. I've actually got a live round of this for people at home that can see this. This is actually a 40 caliber S&W. This is the same type of round that was allegedly fired from the Glock. This is a live round. You have the casing here, and the projectile is actually right here. So they recovered both casings and they recovered projectiles as well. The problem is that ballistically, they don't have anything to marry them up with. And I'm sure that the defense is going to hammer that home, you know, because we can talk about, calibers and all this sort of thing, and maybe what we could find as far as ballistic evidence. But if you don't have anything to match it up with, now we have casings though. We have casings, and even if they have been run over by a car, you can still determine what type of casing that is. In this particular case, they're calling it a 40 cal.
Why no fingerprints? You think it was because they were being run over by cars?
Potentially, and you're not always going to be able to raise a fingerprint off of the brass side at all. You know, it's very difficult, depending upon the contact. Also, the heat has something to do with it. It can be diminished very, very quickly. It's very fragile evidence.
You know, one of the things the defense has been focusing on is, or what they're trying to say, sloppy investigation, incomplete, over 30, you know, almost a 30-year-old case. The fact that Dr. Gavin wasn't the original medical examiner, because I understand the original medical examiner passed away. I mean, again, we're talking about an old case. How significant is that? How problematic is that? How difficult is it for one investigator or pathologist or medical examiner to then look at the work of someone else and make a determination? Is that an issue at all? Is that going to help the defense at all?
No, it's not. I mean, we even had this happen in O.J. Simpson, if people will remember. The prosector in the pathologist in the O.J. Simpson in the Nicole Brown Simpson case, as well as Ron Goldman, they didn't testify. It was the chief medical examiner for LA County that testified. And this has happened repeated numbers of times. It just goes on. And the community is so small with forensic pathologists. You're going to have people moving on. You're going to have people that'll die. And so this is not an uncommon occurrence in our world.
Just thinking from a human point of view, how difficult it is to sit on a jury, how difficult it is to sit on a murder trial, how difficult it is to sit on this one and see those photos of Tupac Shakur and also his family. I mean, his family having to leave the courtroom from that. It's really a sad situation. Joseph Scott Morgan, thank you, my friend. Always good to see you.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.